Hello again, everybody. This is Vital Myth for CardRunners.com, bringing you another classroom-style theory video. Today I'm going to be talking about getting all in safely as opposed to just getting all in now and kind of throwing your money in while you know you're ahead and so on. What I'm pointing to here is the concept of waiting to see a safe turn or waiting to see a safe river before you get all your money in. And I'm going to talk about some math with one example hand that I dove really deeply into using a lot of spreadsheets, and I'll show you how I did that. And it's a hand that I played recently playing live. And I'm going to talk about the things to think about and how to think about these kinds of situations where you actually do have an option that you can really consider between just getting all the money in now or waiting for a safe card to then get all the money in conditionally and sometimes fold when the card is really bad for your hand. So I'm gonna work under some pretty strict constraints today. I'm gonna talk about an example hand with like a really specific read on the opponent's range. I'm gonna vary that read for different manifestations of that example, and I'm gonna work within the confines of some certain assumptions that are not always true, but are relatively standardly true. So certainly there are other factors to think about and more things to consider, but for the sake of actually doing exhaustive math to really figure out the EV of a situation, sometimes you have to really reduce some of the parameters of how you're working and what numbers and frequencies and ranges you're working with so that you can actually get a number instead of, spending hours and hours and hours and hours trying to cover all the bases and never really getting there because everything gets so convoluted. So I put a lot of effort into this video, and it took me a lot of hours to set up all the data. And it was interesting anyway, because I was doing it, for myself, just to see kind of as a confirmation of what I already sort of knew was true. And it's something that I just have a sense of from having done work like this before. And a big point that is secondary to the specific theme of this video is a little more general, is I want to stress how much you can learn by actually doing some real math away from the table, and how important it is to do it from time to time, or even kind of frequently on the order of a couple times a month or something, so that you can start to get a really good natural feel for what kinds of numbers are going to pop up in various situations when you're in the middle of a game when you don't have time to do all the math. It's good to have done a bunch of other exercises in your past so that you have a really good ability to estimate where you stand and what your EV is. So the two big points are, one, the specific one that you can kind of see from the title here. I'm going to talk about getting all in safely on turns instead of right now. But I'm also trying to stress the point that you can really learn a lot from just doing some math. I've definitely worked with a number of people who really don't do enough math away from the table, and some of them could really benefit a lot from it, while others tend to have just a very good natural feel for estimating how the math works out. So let me introduce the specific topic that I'm going to cover today. The premise of what I mean is basically like a really standard spot that comes up pretty often that you probably find yourself thinking about frequently as a no-limit player, is that you're looking at a coin flip now. Right, you're like 55-45, or it's not exactly a coin flip, but you're on one side of roughly a coin flip going up to like maybe 60-40 in either direction. Given that you're in a coin flip now, there's often enough money in the pot from like previous action, especially if it's like a 3-bet pot or if there's already been money going in on the flop or whatever. There's often enough money going in now that the simplest solution is that if you get it in and you're roughly a coin flip, you're certainly going to be making money. And if you're slight favorite in the coin flip, then of course you're making plenty of money. And this is the very easy, simple solution that a lot of people tend to think of in the moment, especially people who have been kind of robotic ABC type players for a very long time and haven't thought very carefully about things that are just kind of guaranteed small EV and seem just normal variance. You wind up in coin flips, and people tend to not really think farther beyond knowing that they're in a flip and feeling like that's a good thing because there's some overlay from the pot. So when we're discussing the possibility of getting all in on a safe card that comes next, so kind of waiting to see a turn that like doesn't improve your opponent's range very much first before you do get all in with a potentially vulnerable hand, for example, we actually have to do some work to justify whether we think that's good or bad, right? We have to really think, given my hand and given what I know about my opponent and kind of how thin my equity is or how much my equity will change on various turns and how much I think he's bluffing and so on. Can I actually make more money by waiting to see a safe turn and then just like folding when it's a bad turn and calling a shove or something, or getting it in when it's a good turn? Unfortunately, that question, as far as questions in the realm of no limit hold'em go, is actually pretty straightforward and easy to answer. Now, that doesn't mean that as far as life goes, it's pretty straightforward and easy to answer, because it's not. It takes a bit of work, and you have to have a good feel for how to do EV calculations and so on.